Sagittarius. This is your April forecast for Sagittarius Sun, Moon, and Rising. You are represented by the Six of Wands, a great card, but also the Five of Wands. So for some of you, maybe you're struggling to get some kind of success or recognition. You want to be the center of attention. You want to be in the spotlight. Or maybe the focus is on you because of your ego. You may be in a battle with your partner where there's a lot of back and forth, bickering, tit for tat. Both of you want to be in charge. There's some recognition of that. Some of you, maybe you're struggling or you're trying to solve some kind of problem. Maybe there's a travel issue involved. But in the positive, this is about being attractive, being recognized for your qualities, being a team player, knowing that you move along more quickly, more enjoyably, more easily when you work in concert with your partner. But again, there could be a struggle for that to happen. This one-upmanship or, having these discussions that seem to go in an endless or vicious circle could be an issue for you. You are trying to resurrect your partnership, perhaps. You want to breathe new life into it. And you may feel that you've been rejected, but maybe you've decided that you're going to move on from non-productive situations or relationships that you've been struggling with, where you were rejected or you were putting in more of the effort and you weren't getting something back. So perhaps you've solved this problem. You recognized what the problem was, something that you were struggling with. You were trying to resurrect a situation that really didn't stand a chance, or you've gotten past something and decided to move on, to renew it, to refresh it. Now, your partner is represented by the Moon and the Six of Swords. For some of you, this is the influence that they're having on you. But it could be a Pisces or a Cancer. Maybe you're having a long-distance relationship. There could be some travel issues. Your partner may be very emotional or secretive or perhaps deceptive, or they may be, having that influence on you or you on them. This is about getting to the other side of a negative situation. Again, where there were issues of rejection involved or where somebody was putting forth more effort. You may feel right now that you're emotionally out of sync with your partner. One of you may be moody, again, secretive, your relationship is going up and down. You feel good about it one day and the next day not so good. So there are a lot of emotions running through a situation for you. Again, there could be issues connected to travel, perhaps children, maybe maternal figures. Your sense of feeling supported and cared and loved for could be an issue. And maybe you're moving on from something where you weren't getting the emotional support, or there's been some sense of betrayal or deceit. This is likely a time where maybe some kind of secret was revealed, or maybe some bad news came out, something that you hear from your partner or a statement that you issue to your partner that's painful. Maybe there's something that your partner's going through that is hurtful to you and you care about that and you want to improve it, and maybe you feel a sense of powerlessness. This could be, though, where your partner is deceptive. Your partner may be pulling the wool over your eyes, or you may be doing that. But it's likely that you have been deceiving yourself about something. And this could be a time where the two of you come together and you have some kind of emotional or psychological breakthrough. Maybe you're in counseling, or you're getting some therapy, or you're simply coming to, the light has been revealed. You're simply coming to terms with some emotional truths that may tie back to past conditioning, childhood memories, rote behavior, an imprint that was made on you that's now playing out in your relationship. This may be a situation where, maybe you were abused as a child, or perhaps you feel like your parents are overbearing, or you are feeling like you want to move on from things that are overly emotional or some kind of betrayal. This is moving on from toxicity in the relationship, either moving on, period, or making some beneficial changes in your relationship to get to the other side of a situation. It's likely that you are revisiting the past, some past issues, or if this is literal, a place that you visited before. You may be going overseas, you may be traveling a great deal of distance. You're trying to get to the other side of a situation and have more understanding of both your partner and greater self-awareness. So this is going to take time. It's going to take work, effort, energy. You're still navigating some choppy waters. You haven't gotten to where you want to be yet. So you're going to have to persevere, to focus, to get to the other side. And look at where perhaps you've been participating in some self-defeating habits, where you have been deceiving yourself, failing to see the truth, failing to come to some kind of emotional understanding. You are making a decision, though, about whether you want to reconcile, whether you want to make peace with the past, the emotional wounds, the hurts, to come to a better understanding. That may mean you come back together and compromise, or you may decide that you've reconciled the decision to move on from a situation. Now, this is a romance where perhaps not a lot is going on, not a lot of communication, a lot of activity. One of you may have decided to withdraw. This may have been to do some thinking, some contemplation, to get some inner guidance, to connect to source. Maybe one of you is experiencing some kind of illness, whether that's physical or emotional, or maybe you're just taking a break. You're putting your frustration aside, you're doing some thinking. Maybe you're taking a break together. Perhaps you're making a decision about, traveling the world, or you're trying to figure out what to do, what the next step is, what is the next move, how do we move this situation to the next level. And for some of you, you are at the end of a cycle. Maybe you're closing out your relationship, or simply closing out a chapter of that relationship. You're doing an assessment. You're seeing how far you've come. And hopefully you're looking back over the experiences and feeling a sense of triumph, a sense of fulfillment. And maybe you've taken something as far as it can go, and maybe it's time to move in a new direction. This is a card of making a fresh start. Now, that may be on your own or with your partner. Maybe you're doing something, that's momentous. You're making some important choice where you're changing your job or your residence or your outlook or your attitude or your body, your location. Maybe you're separating yourself. Maybe you're starting again. Whatever it is, this is the time to put that in motion, but with intention. Because if this is a half-hearted effort, or you're not clear, those intentions are not aligned with actions, even if you set the ball rolling, it's likely that nothing is really going to take shape, or nothing is going to be firm for very long. This is about also trying to figure out what you're capable of giving to a partnership, perhaps, because it's a card of knowing what your limitations are, and knowing where perhaps you are self-restricting, or where you are in maybe over your head, the capability of saying no to what is beyond you, what is beyond your grasp, and having a clear vision of what that is. Whatever this is, there are issues where you're going to have to be more tolerant, more compassionate, or you're expecting that from your partner to move past a negative situation. You may be dealing with someone who's very different than you are. They may have a different family background, a different economic status, a different set of beliefs or values. They may be foreign. Or perhaps, the world is making an impact on your relationship somehow. External forces, or maybe there's a focus on how to move up and become more successful, and that has a bearing on your relationship. But this is about forgiveness, forgiving yourself for mistakes that you made, forgiving your partner, being more compassionate so that you can wipe the slate clean and start over. But you're having to do some discernment. You're having to look past and beneath maybe what's said for the truth of a situation. One of you may be wearing a game face. You're not really showing your true feelings. There's some kind of message involved, some kind of mode of communication, likely to be written. Maybe this was on the internet, could have been a love note, a message of love. It could have been an email, a Snapchat, whatever. However you communicate, a love letter, love note, card, sentiment, expression of some sort. And you're looking at it. Now, maybe it's something secretive. Maybe this was a shady message on the internet that one of you found, or maybe you're trying to read between the lines with regard to something. So you're trying to figure out what to do, either to close out this cycle and make a fresh start together or alone, or maybe you're stuck. There's some changes you know you need to make, and you're falling back on some old habits with regard to your relationship. Now, what is the problem area? It is this King of Coins. So for some of you, perhaps there's an earth sign involvement. Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, Sun, Moon, or Rising, male or female, or just the traits of this king. You also have a Knight of Coins. Maybe there's some father-son issues, or trying to establish yourself financially or emotionally within the relationship. Because this king is falling in the problem area, it's likely that there are financial issues that center around somebody either being selfish or greedy or miserly or mismanaging resources. It could be somebody refusing to share emotionally. There's an over focus on the external, the physical looks, the wealth, the material, rather than the spiritual or the emotional. This is somebody who may not be willing to share or invest financially or emotionally in the relationship. And things may be moving very slowly, slower than you would like. So there could be a lack of practicality on someone's part. Or for some of you, there may be a secret affair. When this card shows up, something to do with loyalty, devotion, reliability, steadfastness is involved. And so those could be issues that are important. And creating something of substance, being grounded, having some security, some permanence, something you can rely on. So for some of you, again, something is moving too slowly. You want to establish something either financially or emotionally, and nothing seems to be moving. There could be issues related to resources. Could be some hidden messages that come up. Something that you find out through a hidden source, or you or your partner is trying to relay a message to your partner subliminally. You're dropping hints, or you're doing things that are implying or inferring other things. There are innuendos. And so whatever this is, it's very karmic in nature. It could be that there's a karmic debt at play here, or there's a karmic lesson to be learned. Whatever it is, something is meant to be. It's almost fated, where you're meant to gain some kind of lesson or awareness, and your partner as well. Now, what is the underlying energy? What is driving all of this, consciously or not? Some kind of decision that needs to be made, some kind of dilemma that ties to an invitation. And this is an invitation where you're having to choose. Maybe the choice is between this invitation, or should you love yourself? Because self-love is involved. It's time for you or your partner to make this decision. Maybe you're turning your back on an invitation because you want to love yourself. You want to respect yourself. You're having to have a dialogue, or your partner is, about where you may be neglecting you. Your health, your appearance, your important affairs, where you're striving for perfectionism and not accepting of your flaws, being too hard on yourself, judging yourself harshly. And so you may need to have a time out where you get with you to take care of you before you can begin to have a rewarding relationship with someone else. And something about an invitation is involved in that. And there's a dilemma about it. You may feel conflicted. Maybe you're opposed to somebody, or you're conflicted within yourself, but you may not trust your intuition, or you may not have enough information to move forward. But the key is that self-love, that self-respect, the nurturing yourself, taking care of you. The advice card is, I endure the thorn to acquire the rose. So there's something where you may have to experience the hurt, the pain, the effort in order to get to that prize. It may require something uncomfortable, again, something that's hurtful, so that in the end, you get the beauty of the experience. You learn something from it. In fact, your outcome is the Tower. Now again, for some of you, this may tie to a property, or maybe it ties to a divorce or a separation. Hopefully it ties to some kind of insight, something where you have an aha moment, something surprising. You get to have some kind of awareness. It's definitely calling on major changes. Something is being reorganized, shaken up, where you're going to get the chance to be free. You're going to be liberated. Maybe you didn't even know you needed that freedom. You were caught in something, holding on because you felt like you needed it, and yet on a certain level, it was creating some stagnancy in your life. It was holding you back. You felt like you couldn't move forward, whether you realized it or not. So either you are deciding to give this up willingly, or fate has stepped in to grab it out of your hands. But you are having to reorganize. And the name of the game is not to hesitate, to move forward, to make the important changes, to rebuild the aspects of your life that have broken down, whether that's to move on or to create some beneficial changes. Now, these insights may come through the form of something stressful, a crisis, a trauma, surgery, death, losing property, property issues, bankruptcy, divorce, separation. Something stressful that shakes up your world, makes you uncomfortable to recognize that perhaps you're going down the wrong path. There's a different way. Maybe you need some assistance. Maybe you're dealing with some form of emergency and you need some help. You have the Ace of Pentacles here. So this is about an opportunity that may come out of the blue to establish yourself. That's the positive outcome. Something may happen. Maybe you suddenly go in a new direction. Maybe you meet somebody new. Maybe this is happening because you made some changes. You change your work or your routine, or maybe you're having to make a purchase, and in the process, you meet an important connection. But for some of you, there's some kind of financial distress, or maybe somebody's not coming through on a promise. Maybe this has to do with the internet. There's a sudden awareness where some change or transformation, it could be an ending, it could be where you realize that you've been waiting in vain for something, some kind of transformation. And again, it gets back to this loving yourself, releasing yourself from a situation where maybe you felt trapped, where your best self wasn't moving forward. Maybe you were bottling up your feelings or emotions. Some confining situation didn't allow you to express yourself in the way that you wanted to. And so some kind of change, there's an opportunity for you to break free, to get out of the jail that you have built for yourself or a situation. That again may be uncomfortable in the beginning, but when things settle down and you make these changes, you may feel better about it. Now you have two major cards, the Moon and the Tower. So this could be an emotional breakthrough. It could be, something to do with travel, something that feels emotionally or psychologically unsettling. But hopefully, again, something is revealed to you, something out of the blue, some secret comes out, some awareness is gained. And this King of Coins is very concerned with making a decision, trying to establish something financially or emotionally that has been a dilemma, where there's been some uncertainty involved. You're doing this review. Could be over your finances, could be over a job opportunity, whether you want to align yourself with someone, whether you want to travel, whether you want to prove a point to somebody, to clear your name, especially if there's been some kind of deception or a secret that came out. But there's also some frustration involved. It could be that you're not on the same page right now. Communication has broken down. You're not able to negotiate to find that common ground. And again, you are likely to be hearing some things that you're not pleased with. Somebody may be issuing some surprising or shocking statements that jar you, or you may be doing that. Somebody may be going in a new direction and you're surprised or taken aback by it, or your partner is. So for some of you, this is something that comes to a head to the point where, it's become a legal issue. It may be centering around settlements that have to do with finances, income, royalty, assets, property. And maybe you're going to have to go to court, or there are issues of cooperation, some face-to-face meetings. Now, maybe you're trying to make some decisions. Maybe this is a new job that takes you in a new direction. You're going to go on an interview. You're going to change your life. You're going to have a meeting. You're going to participate in counseling or therapy or some kind of conference or group setup where you get to go over what's not going right in your circumstance, where you get to shore up what is on shaky ground and rebuild that foundation. Now, for some of you, this is looking at your connection, your relationship, and deciding that if you didn't have somebody hanging on to you with all of their baggage and their neediness and their codependency, perhaps you could really make some real progress in your life. Or if you could get past these circumstances that never seem to resolve themselves, you could make a headway in your relationship. So for some of you, this may not be the best time to start something until you deal with unresolved issues, perhaps from the past conditioning, getting to know yourself better, taking better care of you emotionally and physically. There's something in this situation where this is a love reading, a relationship reading, and there's not a single cup in here. So somebody may be repressing their emotions, or emotions are not expressed. There could be a lack of support, a lack of sensitivity, and that's the issue. Somebody's not expressing emotionally. Maybe it's all logic, all analytical, all in the head. So sensitivity or coldness or aloofness could be an issue. Or perhaps you are pushing past emotions because you've got to make some rational decisions. You've got to put those emotions aside so that you can make something be more practical. It's also, again, tied to some travels, perhaps luck that's going to come through your friends, through your associates, something to do with promises being kept, or whether somebody's delivering on something. An invitation to some kind of event, again. And this is something that may be cyclic. It's coming around again. Maybe you haven't dealt with it and you're going to have to give it further thought. So this is going to be a month that's challenging for you in some way. And it's about choices, your level of attachment to either people or circumstances will define the outcome of a situation. How much you feel like you're getting in return is going to drive your decisions. And you're having to look at your relationships, your partnerships, personal, professional. Are you acting in those constructively or self-destructively? How are you handling your relationships, and how are you allowing yourself to be handled in relationships? Is it time to practice more self-love, to take care of you? Or should you be putting more effort in? You're going to have to endure some pain in order to get where you're trying to go. And you have the opportunity to repair whatever it is that needs to be repaired, or get some clarity that allows you to deal with your connections in a better way. All right, Sagittarius, make some positive change in your relationship.